Meanwhile, just off the Sydney coast, a vessel got stranded. It lost power and then drifted at sea. Attempts were then made to approach the vessel, but bad weather stalled the process. Have a look at these visuals on your screen. An airlift operation was launched to safely evacuate the crew, but it was ended after multiple futile attempts. This development is extremely worrying because apart from the 21 crew members on board, the vessel is also carrying around 1,000 tons of fuel oil. And in case it run aground, it could cause one of the worst environmental disasters in recent years. The ship is anchored near the coast and 3 tugboats have been deployed to try and stop it from crashing into cliffs and rocks. It's important to note that the vessel is designed to operate in dangerous conditions, and the authorities are hopeful that within 24 hours, there will be a breakthrough. And to get us up to speed with the latest developments, with us on the broadcast is Joseph Albright Palmer. He is a journalist based in Sydney. Joseph, thanks very much for being here with us. Let's first talk about the situation in Sydney right now. Give us a sense of the latest.
Yes, well, thank you very much for having me. At the moment, it's very wet, as you might imagine. The rain has been non-stop for several days now, causing widespread flooding across the Greater Sydney area. Low-lying areas and river-adjacent areas in Sydney's northwestern, southwestern and southern suburbs have been particularly affected. As many as 30,000 people are actually either under evacuation order or under evacuation warning. As the river systems continue to increase in swell and break their banks, that number is only really set to increase as well overnight. Emergency services have conducted dozens of rescue operations. Thankfully, there have been no deaths thus far. We're all very grateful for that. Where I am in Penrith, which is a major city, a major centre that lies along the Nepean River, which is one of the main waterways that's swelling, we've seen the river just rise exponentially. As the water reserve, Warragamba Dam, continues to spill, and that's caused fairly severe flooding downstream as well. Fortunately, the Australian Bureau of Meteorology is expecting the rain to ease a bit overnight, and hopefully things will settle down a bit by tomorrow, but it is already a very serious situation.
And talking about the other concern, the cargo ship stranded off Sydney in these weather conditions, it's carrying around 1,000 tons of fuel oil. If it were to run aground, there is major concern over that situation as well. What is the latest on that operation to stabilize it?
That's right. I mean, very thankfully, a 3-person crew tugboat actually managed to secure that vessel. So authorities, the New South Wales state government authorities, do not actually expect there to be any catastrophe coming. But if that tanker was to collide with the rocks along the Royal National Park south of Sydney, it would have been absolutely catastrophic to the wildlife, but also to the marine life, but also to the flora as well. But thankfully, that the crisis has been averted, though.
Right. Researchers say Sydney is likely to flood 80% more often by the end of the 21st century. It's already been grappling with extreme weather events. What do you make of the government's climate-related action plan, specifically its stance on coal projects?
Well, Australia does have a new government in power, which has pursued, has put forward a far greener agenda than its predecessor government. So it's a bit unclear where Australia's climate policy will head in the future. There is a commitment to reach a 2030 carbon neutral goal, but we will see how the action goes on that. Certainly, climate change is at the forefront of social discussion. People in heavily flooded areas at the moment in the Hawkesbury, which you were just talking about, they are really seeing the brunt. They're seeing the brutal reality of climate change with severe floods happening. This is the fourth one in about 3 years now, where the area has just been absolutely devastated by floods. So it certainly is in the public. It is in the public discussion, and there's a lot of pressure politically for political actors to take action on climate change.
Joseph, thanks very much for being here with us and getting us up to speed with the latest from on the ground in Australia. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.